As a player in Dungeons and Dragons, have you ever wanted to create strategies on the fly, but your dungeon master keeps telling you it's your turn, you can't talk to them? Well, let's talk today about how to create strategies in Dungeons and Dragons. So, when we're talking about Dungeons and Dragons, something that comes up a lot of times is players at the table trying to strategize with one another, but at the same time, it slows the game down. So, here's 5 tips and tools you can use as a player to help you strategize a little bit faster and a little better while keeping the game moving. So, let's jump right on into how to create strategies as a player and keep the game moving so your dungeon master doesn't want to kill you. The first tip to strategizing before combat in Dungeons & Dragons seems simple. Strategize before combat. What I mean by that is think about the combat that's going to be coming ahead of you. Now, it's one thing when combat is a surprise, but it's different when combat can be seen. Where are the guards? Where are the goblins? Did you send someone to scout out ahead? Remember, combat is dangerous. Depending on the game you're playing, in my world, TPKs are a thing. So this is something you can do, is to strategize beforehand. Where are we going to be? Where is so-and-so going to post up? How are we going to keep the wizards safe? And what is ahead of us? Taking these little bitty moments, that can be just as much fun as the combat itself. A wonderful strategy will make combat fly by. And as a dungeon master, reward your players for amazing strategies. It's a lot of fun when the strategies come off without a hitch. Even if the dungeon master, you have to nudge them along a little bit. As players, if you want to strategize with your adventuring party, how would you do that? What abilities do you have that would work well together? It's okay for you to talk to your party. You have abilities, you have spells. How would we work together when we're sitting around the fireplace at night? Hey, you know that flashy light thing that you have that blinds everyone? If we get a group of people, if you can hit them with that, I can run right up into them and just mow them down. You as a player then can realize, hey, I can do this, and you can set it up. The best part about this is that as players use these combos, there's nothing wrong with that being the way that we set up the battle. And all of a sudden, someone that's paying attention to this party in combat finds a way to counteract something the party is doing. Outside of combat, as players, talk about in character how you would use abilities together. That can make some amazing role-play encounters with everyone in the party, but at the same time, it's more real. We're going to set things up. This is how we are going to set up attacks. This is how we're going to bait people, right? Call them out plays, just like in football and basketball. D32, we're going, right? And it's fun to actually have a play called, or, my brother's sick, he needs help. There's lots of ways you can do this, but talk to each other in character about the abilities you have and strategize that way. There's a lot of amazing things you can come up that even your dungeon master will never think about and will be excited to see you pull off. As players, if you're trying to strategize before combat, make sure that you're talking about who should be doing what in given scenarios. If a player drops, who's supposed to be doing that? These strategies, these ways of doing combat, they should be part of the adventuring party's tactics. Now, remember something, guys, this depends entirely on the game you're playing. If you're playing a tactical-based game, if you're playing a combat-driven game, then your party would be having these conversations about who's doing what during combat. What do we do in certain scenarios? So that way, during combat, it rolls smoothly. Also, combat feels more natural when the party has had these discussions outside of combat. So make sure that you're taking a chance to actually say, this is what we're doing. This is what the cleric should be doing. This is what the fighter should be doing, depending on who we're going up against. Right? Terms like squishy, like tank, your players may use these in combat. It's amazing to think that the game itself that we're playing, we try to make it real, but there's a sense of game to it that your players would understand, your characters would understand. They would know their strengths, their weaknesses, their abilities to do some certain things, their abilities to sweep, their abilities to cast certain spells, their ability to action surge, right? The ability to make sure that I'm going to take another action that may need a name for it other than action surge, but you could just call it, I'll surge in combat. I'll make sure I take those down, right? Those weird things, we don't like to approach them because it's metagaming or it's out of character, but it's mechanically sound and accurate, and it's something your character can do and does. So this is one of those breaking the fourth wall things that I love to do with my characters, is talk about our abilities in game as characters, because we do them. They're not some mystical unknown. They actually do them in combat, and they have to rest to do them again. Your characters would know this. So why not have them talk about it, strategize around about it? It's a great fun thing to do. Also, talk tactics and plan before battle. So when you're going to go into battle, one of the things I said, tip number one, scout ahead, plan ahead, but also talk beforehand. Come up with the strategy of what's going to happen. Talk tactics before you enter in battle. If my players do these things, if they talk tactics and talk about the upcoming battle at hand, I keep battle moving quickly. Also, they have to just respond. And it makes an intensity that you guys already talked about your tactics. Now everyone's choosing what's happening because it's go time. And people will make mistakes. They will move into the wrong position. And that's okay, because that's what leads to amazing storytelling. So when the players are talking tactics and they go, you as the party, and someone makes a mistake, that's okay. It will make for a great story as long as your dungeon master isn't a dick and just kills everyone. But the bottom line is you have the ability to actually take a second and talk about the tactics at hand before you go rocking and rolling into battle. Even if you're like, okay, guys, we're about to go into combat, let's have a conversation. Even if that stops, it's not character to character, but it's players. I like to do that. You guys need to talk about tactics before this battle begins. They're looking at the map, they're looking at the players. It's a game. I encourage that fourth wall break there for them to get their tactics down, because when combat starts, it's moving on. So both as players and dungeon masters, this is something that I would encourage you to do. Talk tactics, talk battle beforehand. And for players that are at the table, the final tip I can give you is know your characters. Know what your characters are capable of doing, and learn your party. Learn what everyone else can do as well. You don't have to do the details, but if you know that a paladin can smite and you have a way to give them advantage or increase their chances to crit, that may be a good team up, a good duo. They might have a feat that can be used. Understanding where I'm going to stand because my paladin uses a polearm with sentinel and polearm master is a wonderful feat that means all I got to do is stand behind him and nobody's getting through. Or would they even try? It's amazing what happens when you as a team, as a party, talk outside of combat. And that's really the biggest thing, is that if you want to strategize, you want to scout, you want to understand the battle that's going in, that can take as much time as you want, and the battle happens so much faster. So this video does a couple of different things. Number one, thank you as always for joining, but we are talking about how to strategize as players, but it's also great ways as dungeon masters. If you stuck around through the whole video, it's great ways to push your players into doing these strategies. When players enter into combat with a strategy and a concept already pre-done, we're ready to rock and roll, it's amazing how fast combat goes and how engaging combat can be. So often on tables, and you see it all over the place, combat is where the game comes to a halt. And a lot of that has to do with the players don't know what everyone else can do. If combat is part of your game, your players should be talking about it. In players, out of players, in character, out of character, in players, out of players. The bottom line is, have the conversations about what you would do in all given scenarios. And you'll be amazed at how fun and fast combat can be for you as the player and you as a dungeon master. So guys, as always, like, subscribe, hit, comment below. What are some things you do as players to help you create strategies to keep combat moving when it comes down to it? I would love to hear from you. Comment below. And again, as always, we will see you next time.